All right, today we're going to go microscopic. We're going to meet one of the most amazing characters in the story of your own health, the B cell. It's a whole saga of intense training, of memory, and a lifelong battle for your survival. And it's all happening inside you right this second. So let me just ask you this. What if your body had its own intelligent weapons factory? A place that could custom design, mass produce, and then deploy the perfect weapon for any invader it ever came across. And what if it could remember the blueprint for that weapon for decades? Well, guess what? It does. And we call that factory the B cell. So in this explainer, we are going to follow the entire life story of a B cell. We'll start with its role as an antibody factory, then see how it's forged in the bone marrow, watch its first call to action, understand its choice between two destinies, plasma or memory cell, and finally, we'll look at what happens when these incredibly good cells go bad. Let's dive in. Okay, let's start at the very beginning. The B cell is a star player in your adaptive immune system. You know, that's the super smart, highly specialized part of your defenses that actually learns from experience and remembers every enemy it fights. Now, its official name is the B lymphocyte, and it really has two main jobs. Job number one, the one it's famous for, is producing antibodies. Think of these as tiny, Y-shaped, precision-guided missiles that lock onto threats and neutralize them. But its second job is just as important. It acts as a scout, grabbing pieces of an invader, we call those antigens, and showing them to other immune cells to, rally the troops for a big coordinated attack. And here's a cool piece of trivia for you. You'd think the B in B cell stands for bone, right? Because they mature in our bone marrow. Makes sense? But nope. It actually stands for the bursa of Fabricius, which is a special organ in birds where scientists first discovered these cells. There you go. Something for your next trivia night. So every great defender needs a training academy, a place where they're made. For the B cell, that academy is deep inside your bones, in the bone marrow. This is where a generic newbie stem cell gets forged into a highly specialized soldier. So the journey starts with something called a hematopoietic stem cell. That's basically the ancestor of all blood cells. Think of it as a fresh recruit. It decides to become a lymphoid cell, goes through some pretty tough basic training, and eventually emerges as a mature, mission-ready B cell, all set to be deployed into your body. But hold on, before it can graduate, it has to pass this absolutely brutal two-part final exam. The first part is called positive selection. It basically asks one question: can you even do the job? It just checks if the B cell's gear, its receptors, actually work. If not, it's eliminated. But then comes negative selection, which asks a way more important question. Can you be trusted? This test ruthlessly weeds out any B cell that might accidentally attack our own body. It is a critical safety check. Okay, so our B cell has passed its exams with flying colors. It's now out there patrolling the blood and lymph nodes, just waiting. And this is where the story gets really good. This is its first encounter with the enemy. So when a B cell finally meets the invader it's designed to fight, it can get activated in one of two ways. First, there's the team-up approach, called T-dependent activation. For this one, the B cell needs a confirmation, a green light, from another cell called a helper T cell. It's a bit slower, but the result is a super powerful, highly specific, and very long-lasting immunity. The other way is the solo mission, T-independent activation. For certain types of invaders, a B cell can just go for it on its own. It's way faster, but the response is generally weaker and doesn't build that strong long-term memory. Once they get that team-up activation, the B cells head to a special place in your lymph nodes called a germinal center. Think of this like an intense, high-tech military training camp. In fact, this is exactly why your lymph nodes swell up when you're sick. They're just jam-packed with these germinal centers, where B cells are multiplying like crazy and getting major upgrades. They go through a process to fine-tune their antibodies to make them stickier and more effective, and another process that lets them produce different types of antibodies for different kinds of fights. So after all this intense training and upgrading, our activated B cell stands at a fork in the road. It has to make a choice. It's a choice of destiny, and it will differentiate into one of two very different but equally crucial types of cells. So here are the two paths. It can become a plasma cell, which is basically the antibody factory. Its one and only job is to churn out a massive number of antibodies to fight the infection that's happening right now. Or it can become a memory B cell. This one is the wise veteran. It doesn't join the current fight.
Instead, it hangs back and lives for years, sometimes your entire life, carrying the memory of that enemy, just waiting, ready to unleash a faster and stronger attack if you ever get infected again. And when I say factory, I am not kidding. It is an absolute powerhouse. Get this. A single plasma cell can pump out thousands of antibody molecules every single second. That is an overwhelming amount of firepower designed to shut down an infection and fast. And those memory B cells, the wise veterans, they are the entire reason you get long-term immunity after you get sick. And this right here is exactly how vaccines work. They train your body to create a whole army of these memory B cells so you have the veterans ready to go without ever having to fight the actual war. They are your body's living library of every battle. Now, this all sounds like a pretty flawless system, right? But with this much power, the stakes are incredibly high. The very same system that is so perfectly designed to protect us can sometimes, well, it can turn on us or it can fail completely. This is exactly what happens in autoimmune disease. It's friendly fire. Remember that graduation exam, the can you be trusted part? If that process fails, if a rogue B cell that attacks self slips through the cracks, it can start producing antibodies that attack your own healthy tissues. This is a key factor in diseases like lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, and multiple sclerosis. So what about the flip side? What happens if you just can't make B cells at all? Well, there's a rare genetic disorder that gives us a pretty stark answer. People with this condition can't make mature B cells, which means they have almost no antibodies. They get hit with severe, persistent, and relentless infections from everyday germs that a healthy immune system would just laugh at. And finally, because B cells are built to multiply so incredibly fast, there's always a risk. That rapid growth feature is a vulnerability. If the genetic controls, the brakes on that growth, are lost, it can lead to a whole range of cancers, like lymphomas and leukemias. So when you really step back and look at the whole thing, the journey of a single B cell is this epic story of selection, activation, and memory. It's a microscopic drama honed over millions of years of evolution, playing out inside us every single day, and it is absolutely critical for our survival. It really leaves you with a powerful thought, doesn't it? Our B cells hold the memory of every single battle we've ever won against a pathogen. They are living, breathing libraries of our own personal history, which really raises the big question for the future. How can we better support, protect, and maybe even train these incredible living libraries that are already inside us? It's something to think about.